Welcome to Stage 5 of Ghost Babble. This is where we're going to be busting out Dr. Jimmy Harks out of jail. And this stage is a bit of a challenge. We have what is the longest stage in the game. It has a mix of auto-scrollers, a skip, and some pretty tough movement. So let's get right into it. So, right at the start, we're going to go over here to this room. Pick up cardboard box yellow. Over here is the gas mask. It's still useless, don't pick it up. And then we're going to press the elevator button and go pick up these grenades. Now you can choose to pick up these grenades later on when we return to the first floor to press the elevator button again. I just prefer to do it now. And ride the elevator up to floor 2 and equip your yellow box. Now you're going to be doing a lot of elevator rides on this level. This stage is filled with elevator rides. Now, important note, do not hold up right when you exit this room, this elevator, on the second floor, or else you'll go back into the elevator. So make sure to hold right, then hold up right. Very easy mistake to make. And now we're just going to ride the conveyor belt. Hold the direction that you need to go in. This is just an auto-scroller. There's no decisions to be made. But when we get the other colored boxes, we'll have to choose to go certain directions depending on where we need to go. So I'm just going to speed this up. Just ride the elevator. But this one is important. You want to hold up left on this conveyor belt. And what this does is that it minimizes the turn distance when we land in this room to pick up the cardboard box red. It's a very minor frame time save. Pick up cardboard box red. You can do down left here to go pick this up. These are the grenades. If you're doing an individual level run, you don't need these, but if you're doing a full game run, do pick these up. Now this next room has one of the hardest movements in the game, so I'm going to slow the game down so we can dissect this a little bit better. So I'm going to approach over here. Now notice that I am above this line. If you're below this line, this guard will spot you, so you need to make sure while you're moving up here that you're above this line. And then slip by him. This is the fastest strat you can do. And then we're going to slip by this next guard as well. Now potentially you could try to run by this guy. Sometimes it works. But to be safe, just wait by his side and then go by. And if all went well, you'll be able to go into the next screen without that camera spotting you. So you'll hit the cycle. Okay? So let's bring this back to 100% speed. Very important thing to note is you may notice that when I go past this guard, I don't hold up right typically. I'll turn around the corner. That's just in case my movement's a little bit off. He can spot you potentially as you're turning the corner. So I like to make my turn tight there. And if that guard peers around, which some guards can do, and you can't move forward, pull out your chaff, unequip your box, and throw it. That way you'll be able to get past the camera, even though you missed your cycle. The cycle here is really tight. Now, alternatively, you could just wait a moment for this guard. I think when he goes like, he'll like go up, then he'll go left. Yep. You sit in that corner, you can run by him that way. But the issue is, as we'll see in a moment, this guard isn't really where we want him to be. And now this camera is like this. So we'd have to wait it out and then inch through. So that's the safe strat. I don't really recommend that strat if you're trying to go for really good times, but obviously if you just want to get through this, wait for that guard to pass, run on by like that. Track this guard, wait for him to walk by, and then wait for the camera to go by. Don't waste a chaff if you do that strat, and then head on down to the elevator. You're going to see that we're going to be interacting with a lot of elevators. Don't use the ladders, they're slow. Use the elevator. Snake is going to get plenty of exercise, don't worry. But we're not going to floor 1, we're going to floor 2. Every time we go in the elevator, we're returning to floor 2. As you can see, I'm doing IGT abuse. You can choose to do that if you like. Back to the cardboard box yellow. Now we're going to ride the conveyor belts. We always go right here. Don't ever go left. That red path is a waste of time. And just hold the direction. Now this next screen transition is the conveyor belt we need to ride. That room to the side over there is the one that we're going to go into to pick up the level 3 card. So run down to this ladder, pick up card 3, and we're gonna let this guard pass by. So when he reaches about this point right here is the point where you can run by him. It's faster to run by this guy than to knock him out. So just run by him once he gets in the middle of that tile, and then you'll be good to go. Then run down here, knock this guard out. That camera will never spot you, don't worry about it. But make sure you knock that guard out. And then this is the opportunity you have when you come over here. If I can press the elevator button. That's the farthest right you could punch it. This is the opportunity you can go over here and pick up the grenades if you want to do it on the second go around. It's just personal preference since it's all RNG anyways, whether the elevator is going to arrive fast or slow. So don't worry about it too much. Just do whatever helps with your memory. I won't judge. So now, we're going to head up once again. And now that we have the level 3 card, we can go pick up the cardboard box blue. And with that, we'll be able to complete this sorter puzzle and get to where we need to go. So this transition right here, we're going to equip the red box. Again, holding the direction that we need to go. Swap to the yellow box. And then we'll swap once again to the red box. So just alternating, pretty simple. Go to this room. And now we have this room. So there's a few different things you can do here. If you're low on rations, I recommend picking this ration up. It's essentially free because the thing is, if you don't pick up this ration, what's going to happen is you can't run by this guard. Oh, wait, maybe you can. Wow. I think I just realized some very, very, very precise strat. Newsflash, you can run by this guard. Okay, so though you need to make sure you don't mess up your movement entering here. Let's say you like do that. This guard will spot you. Like that. So you can get through that guard without knocking him out. But for all intents and purposes, this is a really good ration to pick up since you're kind of sitting around here anyways, waiting for that guard to pass. And then over here is stunning grenades. So stunning grenades are pretty gosh darn useful. I definitely recommend picking these up, especially if you're a beginner. I still pick these up. Stunning grenades are a little bit out of the way, but they open up strategies and some safety on this stage and later on. So definitely pick up at least this pack, and then you can run down here and go into the conveyor belt. Now, let's say you go the really risky route. Damn it all. I'm going to go straight to the conveyor belt. You can do that as well by knocking out that guard. So depending on your item management and your risk management, you may do different things. However, as a beginner and just in general, I recommend picking up the stuns. You'll see why later on. Then equip a box. If you can enter this conveyor belt angled, that's the best, because then you're minimizing your turn distance, like so. Because you need to turn left, like so. Pick up this blue box, and then turn into the conveyor belt. Hold up left. This next drop is kind of precise. You don't want to mess up this movement. So immediately hold up left, unequip your box, run over there, and knock. Now, that guard can be really stinky and rude, potentially. If you're a little bit off, like you knock a little bit too late, you're not mashing, he could easily spot you. So just be aware that this guard could look around and try to trip you out. Just mash the knock button. If he looks around like right there, you could just knock him out by diagonally punching upright and take him out that way. But the main deal, hold up left on this screen transition, knock on this side of the wall, wait for him to do his looking thing if he does it. That's just random time loss. There's nothing you can do about it. And then run around this spiral. You really don't want to get on alerts here because of the elevator rides preventing you from riding if you're on alert or caution phase. So here's another pack of stun grenades. Again, I recommend picking these up. These are a little bit slower than the other pack of stun grenades. However, stun grenades, like I said, are pretty useful, and if you're a beginner, they can save you time potentially later on, and at least in stage 6. So another strat option here, can knock on this corner of the wall and run diagonally past this guard, and he'll run like that. That's the safe approach. However, you can save about 10 frames or so by knocking over here and slipping by him that way. This is way more risky because, as you'll see, he has less of a turn to do, whereas if you knock above, he has to move all the way up before he turns. So the choice is yours. If you choose the bottom route and you mess up, you're going to lose like 20 seconds because now you're on alert. You might want to throw a stun at this point, and then you're going to have to do the transition abuse while you wait out this alert. Not so much fun, as you can see. However, a little trick, if this does happen to you on this stage, about right now, since we're about 4 seconds away from the end of evasion, I head to the elevator now, just so I can efficiently get there and get there before, or get there while the alert is ending. So that's just a little trick if you find yourself in that situation. But you don't want to find yourself in that situation. It's just an annoying waste of time. Don't do that unless you're going for very strong times in this stage, which frame savers in this stage do add up since it's such a long stage that you could save seconds that way. But in general, I recommend knocking up there. It's a lot more consistent, and then slipping by the guard that way. Okay. So we wait for the elevator to show up, and now we're going to go back to the second floor. IGT abuse if you'd like, but now I'm going to hurt myself. You could do this earlier if you like. It's just one of these elevator rides. You want to throw a grenade at yourself. Now, what this will do for us is that the death abuse we're about to do will be faster since we've already did half of our life bar and damage. But the cost of this is 1 grenade when we respawn, since we lost a grenade previous to our death. Does that make sense? But it does save you time, so I recommend it. The 1 grenade is not a big cost. Swap to blue here. That way you can take the shortcut. If you don't take the shortcut, you'll lose like 10 or 15 seconds. And now we are just going to swap back and forth between yellow and blue. Yellow and blue. Pretty simple. This maze is designed to be really confusing, but actually the solution is pretty straightforward. So now that we're in this boxy area filled with boxes, we need to knock this guard out and knock this guard out. If we don't knock this guard out, let's say I threw a grenade here, I can't go through this door, so don't do that. Don't get caught here. You're going to have to knock out guards, and that's a huge waste of time. So here is where the thermal goggles skip is. If you don't want to do this skip, if you're trying to get pretty good times in this game, I definitely don't recommend not skipping the thermal goggles, but this is the route. I'll show you. We're going to go over here and then swap to red box. And then in the top right corner over here is the thermal goggles. Ride the conveyor belt. And then hold up left. You'll slip by this guard since he's asleep. Don't bother that ammo box. It's for a weapon we don't have yet. We'll get that in stage 6. Just run on down. And once again, we're at this guard. So here, it's actually faster to knock on the top. But again, be aware when they look around like that. It's dangerous. And see, that little delay of that guy looking around caused me to get caught. So be aware. Be aware of that. That cycles can be pretty tight if you make movement errors like I did. So you can just wait for the camera to go by or throw a chaff, and then ride the elevator back up, and you'll backtrack your way to this box area. However, what we're going to do is not do that. Instead, I'm going to show you how to do the thermal goggles skip. So when you enter this room, you're going to immediately turn up left or bottom left and throw a grenade and kill yourself. If you didn't do damage earlier to yourself, then you'd throw 2 grenades here. But since I already did damage, I'll throw 1 like that. So in-game timer is not ticking on this screen. When we hit continue, I'm going to hold left and then hold right immediately. We're going to go out of the room and back in the room. And this is going to reset the lasers to a pattern that's completely predictable. And I'm going to do a punch buffer to time out my movements. So I'm going to run through the first set of lasers, punch 8 times, run through the second set of lasers, then punch 2 times, and then run through the third set of lasers in order from left to right on the bottom side. And I'm having the thermal goggles on so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. Then run on through. And then we're going to run down here. Stick to the upper path. Run around the purple boxes. Stick to the right side here. This guard's going to spot us. That's okay. Now, as you're exiting this area to pick up the C4, you can equip your stun grenades as a little note that can be useful. Turning into this room, if you can, try to hold up because you'll save a frame rather than holding it like that. You can turn efficiently. Hold right into this room to pick up the C4. Then down, left. And in all likelihood, you're going to get spotted here before this alert ends. Now, this is where things get a little bit random. That guard we just passed could smack us down or shoot us. Sometimes there's guards up here, like this guy. Sometimes there's like 2 up there. Usually there's a guard that comes in here. He doesn't really hit you. Just be aware that this area, as you return from picking up the C4, it can give you a lot of different things. So if you want to be super safe, just pull out a stun. Getting knocked down loses you about a second and a half versus the sixth of a second that it takes to throw a stun. So by that math, it's safer to throw a stun rather than YOLO it. Okay, so we head back up here, and again, turn upright or downright to the wall, throw a grenade, kill yourself, and I'll show you how I do this in the dark, and then I'll show the light version. I think I was a little bit delayed. Yeah, I was. So this part is actually pretty unforgiving with the timing on the second lasers. So let me try to demonstrate it again more successfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let me reload this. With the thermos on, you can see what's going on. You'll see that this second set of lasers reappears pretty quickly. It is really easy to run into this set of lasers if you delay too much. Very, very easy. So, just as a demonstration, I'll open up my timer and we'll see just how fast it takes, just so you guys can also get an idea of the time length involved. Okay, so I'm gonna start the timer when this goes. So yeah, around 6 seconds it comes back. So there you go. That's the timer running. You can see how long it takes. It really doesn't take long. That is the set of lasers that's really easy to mess up. But like I was saying before, I really recommend doing the thermo skip because ultimately you're saving a lot of time not doing that extra trip around the conveyor belts. Then at this point, you're just going to return to that room with the thermo goggles. If you didn't pick them up, equip the red box. And you're going to run into this corner, put the bomb right there. Now you can be a little bit underneath this line in the floor of the tile. Just don't be too close. Generally what I would say is try to aim for that line or a little bit above the line. That's really safe. And the reason why you want to plant in this corner is so all you have to do is move up and then you can immediately go left into the room where Jimmy is being held. And Jimmy's very confused since he's never met us before. That's okay. You don't actually need to meet Jimmy before you break him out of jail. And even if you didn't pick up the thermal goggles, it's okay. He'll give it to us on the next stage. So if you did the thermo skip, don't bother picking it up. Okay. So I'm going to show the other side one more time before we do a dry run of the stage. Left, right, run through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. So yeah, the trip should take around 13, 15 seconds or so. You see the timer, how long it takes. It just takes practice. Now you might be saying, Plywood, you're kind of going a little bit slow. You're not like moving immediately through the lasers. The thing is that even if you do lose a little bit of time, trying to be really precise with it requires being very precise with the timing, and going just a little bit too early, you're going to get caught and just waste time that way. So the recommended numbers to do are 8 and 2 on the first trip and 7 and 8 on the second trip. All right, now with that, let's do an actual attempt of this stage and see how we do. And we'll try to re-explain things as we go along and why I'm doing certain things along this route. So we pick up the yellow box, run over here, press the elevator. I choose to get the grenades now. I think it's better that way for individual levels as well. That way you can try to get good RNG on the first elevator. Doing some IGT abuse. Hold right out of the elevator. Don't hold upright or else you'll go back into the room. And now we ride the conveyor belts. Enjoy the auto-scroller, because really if you're doing a full game run, this is like the first break you really have. Now we enter this room. Do not forget to pick up the box. You will be very sad if you forget to pick that up. Pick up these grenades if you're doing a full game run, otherwise skip them in an individual level. Slip by that line, turn around the corner efficiently. Try to go as fast as you can. Let that guard by, and get out of there before the camera spots you. Really one of the coolest screens in the game, but it is challenging. There's no doubt. It is not an easy screen whatsoever. Just waiting for the elevator, turboing a little bit just so we can get going. I'm gonna hurt myself now just to show that you could do it whenever. It doesn't really matter. Just do it when you like. I like doing it on the final elevator ride just for memory's sake. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the next section of the game where I need to do the thermo skip. Do whatever works for you. So now we're riding to pick up the level 3 card. Again, try to think of what's the next thing in your route. That way you're not just mindlessly riding the conveyor belts. Now we're going to this sorter to get our red box out. Pick up card 3. Didn't mean to swap to chaff. That's okay. Menu inventory in this game is pretty weird. Let the guard slip by, run by, open the door, knock this fool out, slip by the camera. You shouldn't get caught ever, ever, ever. Turn in, go up here. If you didn't pick up the grenades before, you should do it now. And now we're going to go pick up the blue box, now that we have the red box and the level 3 card. Again, never, ever, ever go left. That is a waste of time. Right down, then we're going to go right, and now we're going to swap to the red box, and then back to yellow. Then back to red. If you don't need the rations and you're being really risky, you can run by this guy, pick up these stun grenades, equip the blank box. It doesn't matter, whatever box you want to equip. Pick up the blue box, don't forget it. Then hold up left going into the screen, because we're going to knock. Mash the knock, alert the guard, let him slip by. Knock him out if he comes to the corner and sits there like a doofus. And you can choose to pick up these stuns if you'd like. I recommend them on full game runs. Run up here, knock to attract this guard. Run on by. And now for me, I'm going to do my final elevator trip as we wait. As you can see, this stage has a lot of RNG because of elevator rides being random. So how fast the elevators come is not determined by you, unfortunately. So the variance that you can have in this stage time-wise is actually pretty big. Okay, now we're going to use the shortcut. Don't forget about the shortcut, everyone. Save yourself the time. No one likes auto-scrollers. And now we're just going to swap back and forth between blue and yellow. Don't ask me about that item. I don't know what that is. I don't even know how to access that. It just taunts me. I don't know what that is. No clue. Now we're going to run up here. Knock this guard out. Knock this guard out. Kill ourselves. Then run in and out of the room and do the buffer. If you're wondering what I'm paying attention to, it's Snake's elbow, like his elbow pad. That's the part of his body that I look at to see when the animation is back to normal and then I punch again. Because depending on how you buffer with your punches, you're going to get different results, you know? If you mash your punches, it's going to be a different kind of buffer than if you time them out like I do. That's just the buffer I recommend and I do. Turn in here, right. C4, left. I'm going to play risky and not throw the stun. I didn't actually get spotted there. See? If I threw a stun before that guy, I wouldn't have gotten knocked down twice and lose 3 seconds. So there you go. That's the risk reward. Stuns will knock out any guards that are visible on screen, so they'll just get KO'd, which is very, very helpful. Run into this room, turn in up right or down right to kill yourself. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Run through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get into the room. It can be a little bit difficult getting into that door. I've sometimes slipped by it by accident. And then blue box, and then the red box. And we're done with stage 5. I know it's a hard stage. It's pretty tough to learn just because it's really long and there's a lot to keep track of between all the rooms, but stick with it. Thankfully, a lot of it is just an auto-scroller. And the next 2 stages are much shorter in comparison, so be all good. So I will see you next time on stage 6 of Ghost Babel.